Joining us right now is the parole attorney for Leslie Van Houten, Rich Pfeiffer. Rich, thanks so much for stopping by.
Not a problem. Anytime.
So go ahead.
So, Rich, you're representing Leslie, and I understand during the hearing she spoke for she had 4.5 hours. She's been an ideal prisoner for 46 years, not one infraction. She's been just basically easy, yes?
Yes, and it was a lot more than 4.5 hours. The hearing started at 8:45, and we didn't get out until 3:45.
Wow. And how long did the families of the victims get to speak?
As long as they wanted to. They said basically the same thing that they've been saying since day one. It didn't change. You've heard it outside the hearing. When the transcripts of the hearing come out, that's when everyone's going to get to finally hear the true facts of what the parole board considered, what was the testimony was, and everything else. It's very different than what the Tates are saying.
Oh, I was just curious because she admitted she did stab Rosemary 16 times. Did something else come out that...
Well, Rosemary was dead when that happened, and Tex Watson had a bayonet pointed at her and said, do something.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just curious because I know at the hearings, you have been critical of Deborah Tate and Anthony DeMario attending. They're from the Tate's side. He's J.C. Bring's nephew, and Deborah, of course, is Sharon's sister. You said that they should not be able to attend the hearings to represent the other families.
Well, under the law, they're not allowed to. The law specifically states who is a victim's next of kin who can attend a hearing and make a statement at the hearing, and they don't qualify.
What if we thought outside the box and how Leslie was part of a, quote, family? Maybe they're part of that family. They've been brutalized, but they all have loved ones that have been murdered, and they feel like family. So isn't that kind of like splitting hairs? Do people say to you, come on, they've all had murdered family members from the same cult. How can you be so technical and split hairs like that?
If you had a brother who committed a murder, would you want to go to prison with him as part of his family?
I certainly would want my family being represented, and sometimes families have jobs to pay bills, and if another family member like Deborah wanted to represent me and I'm with the LaBiancas, I'd be like, thank you. I don't know. I don't have a problem with that.
Well, first of all, Deborah's got to start stating the facts that are accurate.
Which are?
Leslie's role in the crimes, and Leslie's, she did concede that Leslie has been a fabulous prisoner all of these years, helping a lot of other people, but she's very inaccurate about Leslie's rehabilitation, Leslie's prognosis for the future, how 18 different doctors have done psychological evaluations since 1980, and every single one of them have found that she's not any risk at all to be paroled.
Let's say she is a perfect prisoner and she's not a risk. What would make her life more important than Rosemary LaBianca's? Like, Rosemary was 38. She was a cool lady. She had a dress shop. She was happening. And then they just put like a pillowcase over her head, a cord around her neck. She was listening to her husband being murdered. And then they stabbed her. And I feel like, okay, she can use the old excuse. She was already dead. Do you understand how that sounds? Like, yeah, I only stabbed her after she was dead. It's still even more macabre and disgusting. So I don't
And you don't
buy
know
that.
for sure that she was already dead because it's not like she was pronounced dead by a doctor.
Exactly. I mean, she was actually, I know she was screaming I saw the pictures online and they're horrific. And I know that Leslie does say, I stabbed her 16 times. We carved into the woman. She actually said that. So I don't know. I feel like so much is said about Leslie. She's a model prisoner. She had 5.5 hours to speak. The family got 10 minutes, and I think that's a lot of crap.
No, the family got as much time as they wanted. They chose to stop at 10 minutes.
It's funny how you said it's the same story. Yeah, well, what's the other story? That the victim ended up standing up at the end of it going, hallelujah, I'm alive. Of course they have the same story. They were murdered by your client.
Here's what all of you are failing to recognize is Leslie went through 3 trials. The first trial, her attorney died during the trial.
Aren't you nervous? Didn't he go missing? Is that Ronald Hughes? He's the one that went missing, right?
He went missing. He ended up dead.
You should be nervous.
Then the second trial, the DA tried to prove that Leslie intended to murder.
Well, she didn't think she was going there to play tiddlywinks. You know what happened the night before at the Tate House. Come on.
Half of the jury did not buy the DA's argument that Leslie intended to kill anybody.
Oh, she just went there to have fun.
The third trial...
Okay, wait, stop there.
Okay.
If she went along for the ride and she knew what they did the night before because they came back and all bragged that they got all those little piggies in that house, then she thought, what? I'm just going along for what? To watch them murder
Are
people?
you rejudging what the jury who heard all these?
I'm talking about the facts, sir. I don't care what the jury, because
You don't
sometimes the
know what the
juries
facts were.
have
You
their
weren't at
heads
the
up their
trial.
ass. I'm talking about the facts of the case. So
You
if
don't know
Leslie
them.
did not go there with the intention to murder, what was she doing? Just in the car for a ride along, some fun? She knew what they did the night before.
Are you saying the DA did a poor job and didn't prove their case?
Well, she was convicted.
She was convicted. What are you talking
Not in
about?
the
She got the
second trial,
death
she wasn't.
penalty. She got lucky is what she got.
But ultimately, the result was she was convicted. So we're
In
not
the
talking
third
about.
trial, when she was convicted, the
Yes.
DA used a different theory. They used the felony
Okay.
murder rule, where if someone dies in the commission of an enumerated felony, they automatically get a first-degree murder. They don't have to prove intent. That's how they were able to convict
Right,
her.
but she was
the judge
convicted.
that heard that considered giving her probation, even though it had never been done in a first-degree murder case in California. Then he gave the lowest sentence he could to her, which was 7 to life and running all of the counts concurrent, and she was actually eligible for parole at the time he gave that sentence.
Okay, but she was convicted, and the jury sided with the prosecutor, not
Right.
with her. And there were appeals, and the appeals were denied, correct? So we're not really talking
Right.
about
and,
whether
and
or not
the
she's
sentence
guilty.
was
She's
7 years
guilty.
to life, and it appears that none of you like that sentence today, and it's a little bit too late to complain about it.
Wow, I can see why the families hate you. I mean, the families that really count, the victims.
But don't you want the law to be upheld in the
The
state?
law-
You want to
listen,
change it
I want
sentence 45
justice.
years later?
I want justice for Rosemary LaBianca. Where is her parole hearing? She cannot walk out of the grave. But your client gets to sit there with 3 square meals every day and basket weave or get education. And it's just absolutely, it's not right. It's unjust. It's unfair. And somebody has to speak for Rosemary, because all I hear is how great Leslie's doing. What about Rosemary, who was cut down in the prime of her life, 38 years old, 2 young children at home, slashed like a pig in a slaughterhouse?
And if
And her
everybody
children
really felt
found
like
her,
you
by the
did,
way.
they would have filed an
Her
appeal.
Children found her. Do you not have a heart and a soul?
I have a heart and a soul. And there's a lot of people being convicted of murder where their victims will never walk again, never breathe again, never communicate again.
But wow,
and they
too
get
bad for them.
paroled, and they do just fine.
But
why
this
should
woman
she?
is evil, though. This woman, to be able to do something like
No,
that,
no,
I
Charles
do not
Manson
believe.
is
No,
evil.
no, no, no.
Leslie
She-
Van Houten's not evil.
she
was
is
a
absolutely
I
evil.
saw,
19-year-old
I saw her
girl.
work. Go look at RosemaryLaBianca.com and you'll see the work that this, quote, not evil girl did on Rosemary.
Yeah, the pictures are available online.
Come on.
There is evil in the world, Rich.
You're
and if you
looking
are
at-
evil like she is, that cannot change. She is not rehabilitated. That monster that was there that sliced up the LaBiancas.
Wait a minute,
that
you're
person is
telling me
still
By the way,
with her.
Rich, I'll side with
Hey,
you. What if she
18
is?
licensed psychologists.
Okay, fine. So she's
who
rehabilitated.
Went over
Guess
the
what?
years
Guess what?
And interviewed her.
I don't care if she's rehabilitated and she's not a threat. I don't care. Justice must be served. She took Rosemary's life. Why is her life more valuable than Rosemary's?
Well,
Sit and
first-
rot in prison.
First of all, the DA agreed with the sentence, or they would have appealed it. And the law
Guess what?
is she was
Governor-
eligible for parole.
And guess what? If
Now,
you
all
go
they
to-
did was enforce the law.
If you go
That's
to
all they did.
no parole for MansonFamily.com, you'll see thousands of Americans disagree with you, do not want her out, not because maybe she's not rehabilitated. I'm going to side with you and say she is. That's still not justice. Why should she be free? Look what she did. What does that say to people? You get to murder people and one day you'll go free. No, we have to be responsible. If you murder and take a life, say goodbye to your life. That's
And the
it.
thousands of people who signed this petition have not read the transcripts, and they're not acting
please,
knowing the
I've
facts
read them.
because they
I
don't know them, and
hey,
you don't know them either.
I know give me anything. Bring it, buddy. I know everything about this case. Everything. And I've been to the hearings. I've been to Patricia Krenwinkel's hearing with Deborah Tate. And I think you are so wrong in your assessment of her being this incredible person and this great. I don't care. She could be now. It doesn't matter to me.
Well, I don't
She
want
needs
this
to
witch
rot in
living next to
prison.
me.
She needs to rot
I'd
in
love
prison.
for her to live next to me.
Well, good. Good for you.
Wait, you're not
Let her
you're not
babysit your
bothered
kids.
at all at what she did to this woman, stabbing her
I'll tell you who
that
the
many
most
times?
bothered is, and that's Leslie.
Good. Let her sit and think
Yeah.
about it for the rest of her life in prison.
Right.
Why should
And
she
then
get
she
out?
can think about it
the
now.
The point is, we're telling little children, hey, if you want to go and kill animals and then move on up to kids and other people one day, human beings, don't worry about it. You'll get out eventually. Because she was a part of one of the most notorious and infamous murderers in the world, still to this day, Charles Manson and, quote, the family, and she gets out. What message does that send? If Jerry Brown does not veto this parole hearing assessment, then that's going to be his legacy, that he let out a Manson girl. And I don't think he wants that on his...
What his legacy right now is that he's taken a parole system that was totally broken. He's fixed it. He's appointed competent.
So you like what he does because he denied Bruce Davis. What if he denies your client? Then you won't like him.
Bruce
Then you'll
Davis
say
and
he's
Leslie
horrible.
Van Houten are very completely different cases.
Okay, you're right. I think she's worse. So the point is,
That's
if he
your
denies
opinion,
her...
But you don't know the facts of the parole hearing because you haven't heard them.
Give me something I don't know then. I know this case inside and out. Tell me something I don't know that's going to change my mind.
How many psychological evaluations do you think that she had?
How about this? I don't care. She killed...
You don't know, do you?
She mutilated a woman. I don't care if she's got an IQ...
You're just looking at the one
Rich,
result...
you're not hearing me. I don't care if she graduated Yale behind bars with flying colors. Good for her. Bravo, Leslie. But what she did was take a life. And when she did that, she forfeited her own freedom. Period. The end.
That's not
it.
the law in this country. She was sentenced to life with the possibility of parole. You don't want to follow the law. And if the law is not followed and the government becomes lawless, what kind of country are we?
You don't think there's going to be some lawless activity if she goes free? Come
No.
on.
People are going nuts. We could take calls all day, Rich,
People
from
hate
people who would be completely enraged to the highest levels if Jerry Brown doesn't veto this decision.
And you know he's going
and
to.
every one of the people that you're talking to now has not read the transcripts and does not know the facts that
They've
happened
seen
in
the
this parole
pictures.
hearing.
They've seen the pictures of the brutality. That's all they need to see.
Exactly. Or they've talked to the victims.
That's only part of it.
family.
That's only part of it. You guys want to
Oh my God,
change
guess
her
what?
sentence.
It's a huge part of it, Rich. She stabbed a 38-year-old woman in the back while the woman listened to her husband getting murdered. Yeah, you're right. That's only part of it.
You think that's
but it
an
kind of is
ancillary
a big
detail.
part of it. Just a minor detail. She listened to this woman, and by the way, her and Patricia Krenwinkel laughed at Rosemary because she was running around with a pillowcase on and a cord around her neck, and they thought it was funny because she looked like a chicken. And they talked about
And
that.
she's the
before
woman
they
who wants
stabbed
our
her.
sympathy.
Yeah, that's the one.
She's a sick person. She
Why
should
aren't
die
you
in
guys
jail.
upset with the DA for not appealing her sentence?
We're upset with everybody. But I feel like you represent her and you try to make her into this incredible woman, and I just don't buy it.
She is an incredible
And
woman.
guess what? She could be an incredible woman behind bars for the rest of her life. Let her be that wonderful woman she always wanted to be, but just keep her behind bars because she took a life. She forfeited her own freedom. Period.
Because you
the
want
end.
to change her sentence 40 years later.
Her
That's
sentence,
not
by the
law.
way,
It never will be the law.
her sentence,
At least
she was
it won't
supposed-
be in a free society.
She was supposed to be dead, so she should just. If she was
no,
really
that death sentence was reversed because her attorney died in the middle of the trial and she didn't get a fair trial.
Think about that, Rich. Doesn't
Yeah.
that give you pause? And by the way,
Could have
if
done
she,
it right the first time and executed her.
If she was really sorry for what she
would-
did, she wouldn't have the balls
She
and the
never
tenacity to
got
come
a
up
legitimate
to the
death
parole
sentence.
hearing
The
and
others
say,
did, she
I want to
didn't.
get out. Listen to me, Rich. If you're really sorry for stabbing somebody, you don't have the balls to go up in front of a parole hearing and say, I want out. Yeah, I did that, but I want out. You would sit in your cell and you would
I'm
get your
very disappointed
education
in both of
and you would sit
that you're
quietly
just so
and
one-sided
humbly
without looking at the
and you would
transcript,
shut your
without
mouth.
listening to the facts.
I don't know. You know
It's
what? I know
very
the families.
disappointing
Yeah.
that
Guess
people
what? I
like
don't need to
you
go through a bunch
are
of
on the
legal
radio.
mumbo jumbo when I know victims' family members. So I've seen it on that side. I don't need to read your stupid transcripts. I know what she did. I know what they're capable of, and she should rot in prison. Period.
And
the
you're
end.
wrong.
No,
You're wrong.
And
We
guess
all
what?
can be wrong
You're
at different
wrong.
things. On
You're
this
wrong.
one,
You're
are
wrong. Wrong. You're wrong.
All right. Thanks for
Very
coming in.
disappointing to hear you on the
You know what?
radio.
You'll be
Well.
I'll be disappointed when I hear your body washes up somewhere like Ronald Hughes because he ended up dead. You never know. I'm just saying, Rich. You should get a bodyguard.
I don't need one.
I don't
all
know.
I
You
do
hang
is-
out with women that like to stab people to death and
the
laugh at
back.
them as they're being tortured.
In the back, by the way. Watch out, Rich. She likes to stab in the back, buddy.
Yeah.
If she wants to stab me after I'm dead, she can have at it. But
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's
wow.
very big of you,
Good
Rich.
attitude. You'll already be dead like Rosemary and you won't feel it. Oh, my God.
you don't know Leslie.
You're right.
And,
I don't
that's
want
a
to.
shame because you're missing out.
What a
on
shame. Yeah, there's a
knowing
lot of
someone
people I
who's-
get to meet in this world, and she's one of them.
Do you have some kind of sexual attraction to her?
None whatsoever.
Okay, because you're talking like one of these women
you're
that
in
write the
love.
Menendez brothers.
No, I have known Leslie for 19 years. I know who
Okay,
she
so you
is.
do have some kind of relationship with her.
I just know her as a friend and as my client.
And let me just tell you, Deb Tate has read every transcript, and it certainly is not going to change her mind or mine. And you know what? Deb doesn't believe she's rehabilitated. I'll go on your side and say maybe she is. But that doesn't negate the fact of what she did, and it's justice,
All right.
it's crime
We
and
gotta
punishment
run.
and justice.
Have fun having sex with her when she gets let out, but sleep with your eyes open.
Good luck, Rich.
It's
And by the way,
423, Talk Radio 790 KBC.